What is up, guys? You got NotTheWorst here, bringing another Black Desert online video, and today we're taking a look at another Elvia spot, the silver breakdown for Biraghi Den, or Bandits as it's commonly called. If you don't know where that spot is, it is west of Hadum. If you see here on the map, Hadum, right on over here, and directly west of it we have the location right here. This node manager does get pretty much most of the spots where you're going to grind. If you do go up to the node manager, he does have daily quests available for you to get you some predator routes. I believe it's 6, 2, and 2 for each of them. And just like the other Elvia spots, it's literally just killing the mobs that you're already going to be killing anyhow, so you might as well pick up some predator routes and contribution while you are doing it. You should be able to accomplish them. 2 of them you'll get done within an hour. The third one's like killing specifically the captains, and it's unlikely that you're going to kill 500 just straight captains in the hour, maybe. Anyways, so next up, I want to talk about the AP that I typically recommend. It's marked as a 260 spot. There is a nerf to the amount of AP required here coming up, at least on the global labs now. We're not sure when it's going to go live. It is going to be a 250 AP spot. They're reducing the health and the damage a little bit. Tiny bit of a damage reduction, and the health is being reduced a bit as well on the mobs here, so you'll probably be able to clear faster, or possibly if you weren't able to grind here before, you might be able to do that once those changes are taken effect. As it stands now, that's not the case. So 260 AP, I'd honestly say 269 Kudum, or you're probably wasting your time. You could do it at lower, of course, but I would imagine you can make more money elsewhere if you're not that high. As far as DP, it's recommended to be in the 320 ballpark. That's probably fine. It will be a little bit class dependent. Some of them obviously have better sustain than others. In some cases, very extreme sustain, much better than others. So kind of take that with a grain of salt as far as DP wise. If you're 330, you'll definitely be safe for sure here. There is some CC, so we'll talk about that in a minute, but just be careful with that. As far as what I used while I was grinding this, my current setup, 297 Kudum in the main hand, 371 DP. I'm running Succession, so not too worried about the bracket for the Awakening set, but this is what I was at the time that I was grinding this. Actually, the first 6 or 7 hours of it were actually 296 AP. I just picked up that Teton-Grad belt recently to hit 297 Kudum. Anyways, going from there, we got the daily quest covered. Let me show you the rotation that I used. I do want to reiterate, like most Elvia spots, the rotation's not super important that you adhere to. Oh, must have this rotation for super trash per hour. And if you're busy dueling for spot over rotation, I still stand with you're probably just wasting your time in those duels, because this place is so dense with so many mobs and you have so many options for rotation. You're honestly fine. I wouldn't bother dueling. I think I dueled one person once for fun during this time frame, because if somebody's on a particular spot, you just grind another one. Anyhow, I ran down here and would go down this way to this pack of mobs, come up along the right hand side, down through these guys, come up to here, and then back around down to these guys, and then start back over to these. Now, that was when I didn't have an Elvia weapon, since we have the Elvia weapons that do indeed drop. Once you get an Elvia weapon, you will overclear that very, 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 very easily. So then you can extend it either going off into that left direction. You've got options there. Sometimes it went off to the right direction. So you've got options over there for packs, or the easiest way, if there's not somebody tucked away up in there, is when you come down to this long end. This extends all the way back, usually where you get the Rift Boss. Muskin a lot of times will spawn out here. Looks like somebody is actually grinding this spot, but when someone's not back here, you can also just use this back area to pick up from overclearing when you do get that Elvia weapon, because it's definitely going to happen. As far as the mechanics here, there's no super secret trick to it. They do have a knockdown. If you're running adamantines, you probably won't see a knockdown happen very often for you personally. They also have a stun, which does happen somewhat frequently. It wasn't that big of a deal, really, but there was a couple times I got chain stun. That's just kind of annoying, but now, there is an alert system mechanic as well that gives you different alert levels. I wasn't actually personally able to trigger this myself, as tons of people were grinding here, and I'm a DK, so we're kind of a middle of the pack grinder, so obviously not going to be the lead. But the way that it works is I was able to get to level 2 or so. The more bandits that you kill when there's multiple people in the zone, whoever has the highest alert level is going to be highlighted on the map, and you have to be the highest at the time. To raise the alert level, it'll go up to level 5. If you get up to stage 5, it's going to spawn the Biraghi boss dude there, and then once you kill him, your alert level is going to reset from there, but you are competing with other people grinding in the zone at that time. So like I said, didn't actually get to trigger it myself, otherwise I'd have a clip for you on that, but I guess the answer there is play Striker or Lawn or something if you want to pull that off. As far as the buffs that I had running, I was running a node. I started with level 1, got it up to 7 before I was done with the zone. I was running a Kama Blessing at all times, so I had that buff. running up 12% in ecology. I do have a 4% loot pet as well, and this was during the 50% drop rate event, so these are essentially Arsha server numbers, so keep that in mind as well. And this was done with blue loot scroll with no agris. Technically they were green scrolls. I always like to split them into the 30-minute scrolls, just because you can use maids and stuff in between the scrolls, a little bit less pressure there. And then as far as actual buffs, I did this a little more chill than I normally would, since it's pretty below what my gear requirements were. Normally, if you want to run maximum trash per hour, you probably want to be running a frenzy elixir, frenzy draft rather, and if you're running a frenzy draft, depending on your crystal setup, you probably need a spirit perfume elixir to max out your crit, or some sort of something to go along with it to max out your crit that way. I didn't bother with this. I just ran a giants draft, so of course if you were really trying to squeeze some money out of this particular spot, you could do a little bit better running that frenzy setup. Just wasn't interested in doing that personally as we went through those. So now that we got that covered, let me go ahead and pull the spreadsheet and let's take a look at how we did. Okay, so here's our total numbers for the 10 hours that we did, and I gotta say it was a little bit underwhelming with what we got, especially coming off of having just done Nagas previously to this. The overall average was right at about 200 mil per hour. It was significantly higher in the first 4 hours, obviously getting 2 of those moon nails to drop, which may create the necklace from it, so those being pretty valuable. Had the numbers pretty heavily skewed. I did not see another one, which meant that the numbers kind of pulled down quite a bit. Of note, I did actually see more draining night shards here than I did at Nagas, which was kind of interesting. It was the only thing that was a bit more there. Everything else was a little bit less from that, but we averaged 9.3 there, so about 9 per hour. Came around 8 narc lights per hour, which again was in line with Nagas. BMCs was about 2.5. Seed of Void right around 2, so exactly the same as Nagas. Blackstones was lower. I had 117 here. Nagas actually did 130 average. Trash loot, as usual, is all over the place. Between I had some duels this particular hour at low end 4,700 up to like 6,800. Or around that number. This again gets weighed quite a bit based on how RNG carried you get with your Elvia weapons. Obviously, if you get 0, it's going to be on the low end, probably 5,000 to 5,500, depending on class and buffs that you're bothering to run, that sort of thing. Upper end, I couldn't tell you, 7k plus, I'm sure is pretty achievable if you get just like super heavy carried with Elvia weapon drops. Kind of really comes down to that. About a tier per hour, a little more than that. 0.2 on the moon nails for it. Not super impressive there, and actually 2.6, which was lower than what I've seen so far in Elvia for massive pure magic. So these numbers at 200 mil, it's not that crazy to think considering the AP requirement for it. It's not as high as some of the others. This is the lowest place in there. It does match imp altars as far as what the alleged recommended requirements for it are, but this is a solo spot, not a duo spot, so kind of was expecting this to not be quite as good as some of the other places. It's still really, really good money. The other thing to keep in mind with these two is when you're selling things like Seed of the Void, that's a 10 mil item, or Narc's Light that are 3 mil items, these items don't have taxes on them too, so that's a little bit better than rare drops when you're actually calculating those out across a long period of time. It does have a pretty good impact. Absolute worst arrow was actually the last one that I did for it. Just got killed with bad RNG on that one, so hit 136 there, and then of course a peak hour at 322, which included a moon nail drop. Best hour without one of the rare drops was 213, almost 214 on that one, so definitely some good money to be had at this zone in general, especially if you're in that like Histria, Ackman kind of stages there and just looking to change it up a bit. You also don't have to go portal hunting for it, so that's a little bit of a benefit for sure as well. So that's what we got for this one. We'll have to wait and see the next spot I've already started working on. We'll eventually get all these Elvia spots out. For those that have been asking, they are a work in progress, so don't worry about that. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to like it. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe so you get notifications when new videos do go live. And if you'd like to catch me playing live, there's a link to my Twitch page in the description below. You can head on over there and drop a follow so you get notifications for that as well. With that said, that's going to be it for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and I will see you next time.